Hi, this is Les and Amy from the RevGenetics Podcast. You can listen to the podcast on YouTube and now on Spotify, where we do a deep dive on supplements and longevity studies.
Yeah, and today we are looking at something pretty wild. We are talking about taking the leftover scrap from making hemp seed oil, which is called hemp seed cake, and, turning it into this incredible super ingredient to make everyday foods like bread, just massively healthy.
Right, and it helps to think of it like making fresh juice. Like when you juice carrots and apples, you get the sweet liquid, but you're left with all that dry pulp that most people just throw in the trash.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
scientists are actually discovering that the pulp we throw away is, well, it's packed with the most valuable nutrients.
It really is.
Yeah.
So if we look at the industrial process for making hemp seed oil, it works almost exactly like that juicer.
Right.
They pour just thousands of tiny whole hemp seeds into this massive mechanical press. And the goal is to squeeze out every drop of the valuable oil.
But what happens to the rest of the seed? Like, what exactly is the hemp seed cake?
Yeah, so once that liquid oil drains away, the machine spits out this hard, dry, compressed block of the crushed seed shells and the inner tissue, and that leftover block is what the industry calls the cake.
Got it. And I feel like we should clear up a common misconception right here.
Oh, definitely.
Because when you say hemp, a lot of people automatically think of marijuana, but industrial hemp is a totally different crop, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's bred for things like rope and cooking oil, and it has almost zero THC.
Right, less than 0.3%.
Exactly. And THC is the stuff that causes a psychoactive high. So because it's virtually zero here, this seed cake is completely safe. It won't get you high. It's strictly plant nutrition.
Which is crazy when you look at the raw numbers from this study. Because they pressed all the fat out, everything left is super concentrated.
So concentrated.
The whole hemp cake is 28% protein. Just think about that.
Yeah.
More than a quarter of this industrial waste is just pure protein for building muscle.
Yeah, and the fiber is even wilder. It's at a massive 52.6% dietary fiber. Wow.
But the thing that really fascinated me was the antioxidants. It is just loaded with them, like quercetin, luteolin, and ferulic acid.
And for anyone listening, you can think of antioxidants as like biological rust inhibitors.
I love that analogy.
Yeah, just like how weather rusts iron. Our bodies naturally create byproducts that basically rust or damage our cells over time. And these antioxidants just step in and neutralize that damage. They protect the cells.
Right, they protect the plant from hard sunlight, and they protect us when we eat them. But the researchers didn't just, dump this hard cake into a bread recipe.
That would be a very crunchy bread.
Yeah, it would break your teeth. So they milled it down into flour, but then they did this really clever thing. They sifted it through different size screens.
Oh, right. It's kind of like one of those coin sorting machines at the bank.
Yes, exactly.
You dump all your change in, and the large, heavy quarters fall into one bucket, and the tiny dimes slip through to another bucket. Right, and they were basically sorting the flour by its biology. The larger, chunky pieces, the ones over 700 micrometers, were mostly the seed's outer hull.
The plant's armor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those big chunks are like the heavy gold quarters. They hold almost all of the insoluble fiber and those protective antioxidants.
But the tiny dimes, the super fine powdery pieces from the inside of the seed.
Which were under 200 micrometers?
Right, those are like precious gems because they hold an amazing 45% protein.
It's incredible. So they took the sorted flour and did the ultimate test. They baked actual bread.
Okay, the real world test.
Yeah, they took regular wheat flour and swapped it out for the hemp cake flour at 3 different levels. A 5% swap, a 10% swap, and a full 20% swap.
And the results were just immediate. By just swapping out 5% of the flour,
Yeah.
the bread actually legally reached the status of a high-fiber food.
From just 5%.
Yeah, and at the 20% swap, the total fiber in the bread completely tripled. And its antioxidant fighting power jumped up 3.9 times higher than the regular control bread.
But here is the natural pushback, right? If you swap out 20% of regular fluffy wheat flour for a dense plant byproduct, doesn't it just taste like eating a tree?
Well, it definitely changes the physics of the dough. The hemp fiber absorbs a lot of water. But while this specific study was strictly looking at the chemistry, other research shows that consumers actually love the taste, at around a 10 to 15% swap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it makes the bread a bit darker and denser, almost like a hearty artisan loaf, but it still tastes great without feeling like you're chewing on wood.
All this fascinating food science is brought to you by RevGenetics.
Right, RevGenetics is dedicated to the long-term exploration of evidence-based natural compounds for aging and longevity research.
Just as this study shows the incredible cellular protection of natural antioxidants like quercetin, you can find high-quality quercetin and other advanced longevity supplements to support your daily health directly through RevGenetics.
So looking at the big picture here, this really points toward an amazing future for food.
It really does. It's this whole idea of the circular economy of food, or, upcycling.
Right.
Instead of taking the byproducts from making oils or juices and just throwing them in a landfill where they rot, we're realizing that this food waste is actually the ultimate functional superfood.
Which is a huge win for sustainability and for our bodies.
Yeah, exactly. But we do have to mention one limitation of this study. The way they measured these antioxidants was in a laboratory setting.
Right, they use liquids like water and a chemical called methanol to pull the antioxidants out of the bread so they could measure them.
Yeah, and actually water pulled out double the antioxidants because it acted like a sponge and swelled at the bread matrix so perfectly.
But obviously, a laboratory beaker is very different from human digestion.
Very different. Because these antioxidants, these polyphenols, they are actually stuck to the plant fiber. You can think of them like a locked suitcase.
A locked suitcase, okay.
The lab test basically proved that the clothes, the nutrients, they are definitely inside the suitcase. But the future question is, when we actually eat this bread, can our digestion unlock the suitcase?
Right. Can we actually absorb the nutrients we're eating?
Exactly.
And that's where follow-up research comes in. They'll need to use simulated digestion models to find out.
Which are basically mechanical stomachs in a lab.
Yeah, it's wild. They mimic chewing, stomach acid, the whole process to see exactly how much of those super nutrients actually make it into our bloodstream.
And a big part of unlocking that suitcase is our microbiome. The bacteria in our gut are really the ones that break down that tough fiber to release the antioxidants.
Right. And if they prove that our bodies can unlock this, the real-world applications are just staggering.
Completely. The future of the bakery aisle might look totally different.
Yeah, you wouldn't even have to change your daily habits.
No, not at all. We could soon be buying everyday staples, like bread, pasta, and snacks that just naturally fight inflammation.
And provide huge amounts of protein and protect our cells.
Right, and you get all of that without having to swallow a single bitter pill. It's just baked right into your sandwich.
It makes you wonder if the parts of the plants we've been throwing away for centuries are actually the healthiest parts. What other nutritional gold mines are sitting right there in our trash cans?
Thanks for tuning in. We hope today's breakdown gave you some valuable insights from the study. Stay curious, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the RevGenetics Podcast.
RevGenetics.com for the best longevity supplements on Earth.